You are the king, so wear your crown. The lords of the Crown Court shouted at me. I didn't feel that I deserved to be king, and nor did I feel ready to lead a nation. I did not want to wear the crown, and I was not yet ready to take on the responsibility to lead. The lords of the court then shouted, You are the true heir to the throne. Let this be proof. Sire Damar, come up onto the stage. And Sire Damar, a valiant knight of this kingdom, went up on stage, and the crown was put onto his head. As soon as Sire Damar had the crown on his head, his body started to painfully dissolve, and the valiant knight shouted, I am not the king! I am not the king! And when he liquefied, the liquid turned to steam. The lords of the court looked at me and said, Do you see, Barafay? Only you can wear this crown. And so I went up onto the stage, and the crown was put on my head. And I did not dissolve. I was truly the true heir to the throne, and I felt pride in myself and of my ancestors. As a king, I did well leading my nation, but sometimes I had a feeling of sadness, where I felt I was not the true king. I had to see proof again that I was truly the king, and so I called upon the knight Vrozum, Sir Elion Hay, and a rich businessman in my land, called Faceless. The knight Vrozum wore the crown with such enthusiasm that when he started dissolving, he did not even cry out in pain. He rejoiced even more, and his last words were, See, you are the true king. Then Sir Elion hesitantly stepped up, and I knew he didn't want to wear the crown. He did anyway, out of loyalty. As he started dissolving, he did not say much, but tears rolled down his eyes as he dissolved into liquid and then steam. Fazalta started arguing with me about not wanting to wear the crown, and that the first 2 deaths should be enough to make my worries about whether or not I am the true king completely pacified. I stared at Fazalta, and I knew that he had to wear the crown, and as he dissolved, his angry last words were, Are you happy now, king? Those 3 deaths made me feel again that I am the true worthy king, and only I can wear the crown until it passes down to my descendants. When I was at war with another nation, I rode up to that king and gave him my crown. As the other king thought I was surrendering, he dissolved into nothing, and I had won the war and owned his nation. I am truly the true king. When my feelings of my own worthiness became stronger, I gave the crown to my son and wife to wear. They dissolved. I can see the future. I love seeing the future. It helps me prepare for things, especially as I'm a nurse. Like my co-worker, I told her that in an hour I was going to slap her and that she had to prepare for that slap. She told me that I didn't have to slap her and that I could choose not to do it. I told her that is the future, and the future is set in stone. So, when the hour passed, I slapped my co-worker, and she was amazed how the future came true. Being able to know the future is very useful. Then, I told the patient's family that I was going to kill the patient in 2 hours, and that they should prepare for the death. They knew I was the nurse that could see the future, as they have been in the hospital for many weeks now. The patient's family first came to know my future-seeing powers when I told them that I was going to knock their coffees out of their hands in an hour's time, when they first came here. They were amazed when I knocked their coffees from out of their hands. Then, after 2 hours, I put the patient to death by increasing the insulin to dangerous levels, and the patient's family were upset and amazed by how I knew the future of this happening. I cried along with them as the patient was dead, and I kept in contact with them after the whole ordeal. I was grateful for being able to see the future and to warn the patient's family about what I was going to do. Seeing the future is amazing. Then, with another sick patient, I told the family about what the future had held for their sick mother. I told the sick mother's family that in 3 hours' time I was going to poison their mother and that they should prepare for her death. They were grateful for me telling them the future, and as I poisoned their mother after 3 hours, they all hugged me and were prepared for her death. They were so glad that I knew the future of what I was going to do. They all stood around their mother and started crying, and so did I, because in that moment, their mother felt like my own mother. I was able to see the future ever since I was a child. When I was 8, I knew that I was going to kill my dog. And I did. I am grateful to be a nurse and to be able to see the future at the same time. Mummy, why can't we leave Ray? My children say this to me all the time. Ray is physically abusive, and being the stepfather to my children, he is dangerous to be around. He is a steroid junkie who likes to build his body, and he has hit me and the kids so many times. Yes, he leaves bruises and marks, but they can only heal when Ray is in a good mood. When Ray is in a good mood, everything is fantastic. When Ray is not in a good mood, then everything is hell. He destroys things. He should leave, but I don't. I remember taking the kids and leaving Ray, but the bruises and cuts weren't healing, and they were becoming worse, even septic. It's only when Ray found us and was in a good mood that our cuts and bruises had healed instantly, right in front of our eyes. It felt good, and I remember running away from Ray another time, with no cuts and bruises though, and I started to miss Ray's good moods. When Ray was in a good mood, everything is amazing and life goes exactly the way I want it to. So everything starts again, and Ray is simply Ray. Some people pay Ray to hurt them when he's in a bad mood, and then to heal them when he's in a good mood. They too are addicted to Ray's good moods, and everyone wants Ray to be in that kind of mood. I remember when Ray was in a bad mood and he had beaten up both of my kids, and they were crying and begging me to take them away from him. Then Ray suddenly turned into a good mood, and their bruises and cuts had healed. Then my kids loved Ray again. It's a good life when Ray is in a good mood, and nothing can go wrong. When Ray killed our dog in a rage, we still kept the body of the dog, so when Ray was in a good mood, the dog can come back to life, only to find out that when Ray changes into a bad mood again, the dog goes back to being dead. I remember once when Ray hurt my children again and their cuts and bruises weren't healing because Ray was in a bad mood for a long time. I thought they were going to die, but luckily he got into a good mood and they healed. This year, I have only been experiencing Ray in his good moods and never the bad. Only my kids are experiencing his bad sides. When my eldest child said to me, "Mummy, just like the dead dog, you only open your eyes when Ray is in a good mood." Dracwo came up to me and asked me whether I wanted to challenge the Wafank, and I had never seen a Wafank, but my wand is the best in the world, so I thought I was up for it. My wand gives spells into my mind, and I have to say it out loud, and it hasn't failed me yet. I am sure the Wafank wouldn't be much of a problem. Dracwo said the challenge against this magical creature would be in front of a crowd, and I was ready for it. My wand only has this special ability where it can give any spell to the bearer's mind to use against any creature. It was a large crowd, and the Wafank was released from its cage. The first spell my wand gave to my mind, I couldn't say it out loud. It had words that were offensive and unacceptable to say out loud in public. I kept dodging out of the way from the Wafank's attacks. Then my wand gave me another spell. Again, that second spell had offensive words and unacceptable terminology. No way in hell I could say this out loud. Up to now, the Wafank's attacks had missed me, but sooner or later, they will get me. I started to think that my wand was racist and prejudiced, but my wand knows every spell in the world. Then I looked at Dracwo and he was smiling at me. Then I knew he planned this all along, and he knew about the Wafank creature and the spells to destroy it. All had offensive words in them. He knew I would never say them out loud in front of a crowd. I know why he's doing this, and it is because He wants my wand. When the Wafank kills me, he will take my wand. The wand kept giving me other spells to defeat the Wafank, but it still had unacceptable words in them and offensive phrases which I couldn't say out loud. My reputation would be ruined, and the Wafank attacks have managed to injure me now. As I lay on the ground, desperate, I will still not say those spells. Dracu is sitting along with the audience, and he is laughing now, as he knows the Wafank will kill me. My wand is still giving me the inappropriate spells. It has banned words in it, and even in death, I will not say it. I am a rich, snobby son of a bitch, who doesn't care about the lower classes. I am the type of guy who shouts at service people and does not care that I am being recorded on camera. I am now collecting weapons as a hobby because I have nothing else better to do. A recent up-and-coming heavyweight boxer, Snarsley, I want to show him my weapon room. He is definitely going to be the next heavyweight champ. After another knockout win for Snarsley, I invited him to my mansion to take a look at my weapon collection. Snarsley was so happy that he had another knockout under his belt, and he was loving the limo he was in. He was still talking about his win. He was talking that much. He must have forgotten that I was in the limo with him as well, and he kept on saying, "Bundy man, the way I knocked him out, it was exactly how you taught me. Thank you so much. Best trainer ever." And I looked confused. I asked Snarsley, "Who is Bundy?" And Snarsley laughed, saying, "He was my trainer and foster father who taught me boxing. He is dead now, but I still talk to him. But I can get carried away." Snarsley started to talk about Bundy even more, and I could kind of see tears in his eyes. Such a large heavyweight boxer with tears in his eyes. He can kill anyone with one punch, but there he is crying in my limo. I don't have much respect for a lot of things, but I do have respect for fighters like Snarsley. All the other heavyweight boxers are clearly jealous and scared of this young up-and-coming boxer. He is the next big thing. I take him up to my mansion, and I look at Snarsley and say to him, "One day you will live in a mansion too. You just have to keep knocking them out." And Snarsley did a little shadow boxing to show off to me. Then I showed him my weapon room, and he was shocked at what he had found. He found knees and elbows belonging to champion Thai fighters. He found legs belonging to champion kickboxers. He found large tummies belonging to sumo wrestlers. They have all been put down as weapons by law. Now I needed the fists of a boxer. Snarsley knocked out a few of my bodyguards, but the bullets eventually took care of him, and all he could whimper was, "Oh, Bundy." Now to add to my weapon collection, the fists of a boxer. I know I'm going to prison, but I don't care. With the kind of money I have, prison will be a holiday home.